Hello dear students, welcome you all to the lesson, The Enemy. This lesson was written by Paulus Buck, and in this lesson we'll just deal with as a dedicated citizen. Will you give preference to patriotism or humanism? This is one of the main themes that was highlighted throughout this lesson. And here in this lesson, it tells the story of a Japanese doctor who hates Americans because of his patriotism. And as the lesson or as the story goes on, here we see that the Americans and the Japanese were at war. Okay, the story goes like this. And before that, let's see the characters. Dr. Sadao Hoki, he was an American trained Japanese surgeon and a scientist. His wife Hana. Then Tom, an American prisoner of war. Yumi, the servant and nanny of Dr. Sadao's family. And next person is the general who was treated by Dr. Sadao. And along with them, we also see the gardener, cook, guards, and Sadao's father. Okay. So as the story goes like this, first of all, we see that Dr. Sadao in his childhood days, we see that he was living near the coast of Japan. And he had been living there since his childhood days. And he was very much interested in climbing the pine trees. And he used to accompany his father to the South Seashore, and his father used to speak about the future of the Japan. And he was a highly patriotic person who always wished for the bright future of Japan. Okay, and in his opinion, the future of the Japan lies in the hands of the youngsters. Okay, and he always used to say that the islands are the stepping stone to Japan's future. And we see that Dr. Sadao, being an obedient boy, he listens to the father because his father gave priority to the education of his son. As per his father's wish, he was sent to America at the age of 22 to study surgery and medicine. Okay, and he excelled as a surgeon and a scientist. And we see that before the death of his father, he became a famous surgeon and a scientist also. At the age of 30, he returned from America. He was said to be a scientist because he was about to discover a treatment which would render wounds entirely clean. Okay. And here we see that as the story just develops, Dr. Sadao was in Japan while all the other doctors were sent to serve the Japanese army as it was, the story was going on during the World War II. Okay, and Dr. Sadao was kept in Japan to treat the old general who wasn't sick and who needed an emergency operation at any cost. So in this occasion, we see that Dr. Sadao, after his work, he comes back to his house. And as he was just nearing to his house, you'd see that the entire place was covered with mist and snowfall. And he earnestly wished to be with his wife. The name of the wife is Hana. She was waiting there for Dr. Sadao at the veranda. Okay. And Dr. Sadao and Hana met together in America as he was a student in America. And we see that as once Dr. Sadao entered his house, both the husband and wife was just spending quality time together standing in front of their veranda. Okay, by the time they happened to see a shadow coming in front of the house. Already we have seen that their house is situated very near to the coast of Japanese Sea. And we see that they have visualized something coming in the dark. It was a man, he was staggering. And they couldn't find him clearly as it was almost covered with mist. Anyhow, they could see that the man was coming closer and closer. They immediately, this Dr. Sadao and his wife ran in front of the man to see who he was. Okay, and we see that he was full of wound. His body was entirely dipped with blood. Okay, and first of all, Dr. Sadao and Hana thought that this may be one of the fishermen who has been washed from their boat. Okay, and they could understand that this man was deeply wounded because of the spiky rocks that is present near the coast of this area. Dr. Sadao realized that this man was badly wounded and the entire place where the man had fallen is soaked with blood. Immediately, Dr. Sadao and his wife just turned the face of this man to see that he was an American. Okay, and he was lying unconscious. First they were worried, but we see that Dr. Sadao, when checked the wound, it was deep, and he thought of giving the man first aid. Okay, and by the time we see that Hana was looking all around whether anyone is there, whether the beach combos or any other fisherman was there. No one was there, luckily. Okay, immediately Dr. Sadao gave first aid by using the sea moose. And as they gave the first aid, Dr. Sadao was Hana and was great confusion because they doesn't know what to do with this man, because you know that as America and Japan was in war, they can't take this American. First, when they realized that he was an American, they can't just take him inside their house. Okay, and both of them were in confusion. Especially this man was a prisoner of war. If we take him inside their house, definitely they will be stamped as people against their country. So anyhow, both of them stands there with great confusion. Finally, they felt sympathy towards the man and they took the final decision to take the man inside their house to give medical assistance to the white man, irrespective of their hatred towards Americans, okay, Japanese and Americans. And as they were just thought of taking this man inside the house, the next question is, how will the servants react before their decision? Okay, and you see that this man was taken inside the house and he was given the bedroom of Dr. Sadao's father. But we see that Dr. Sadao's father was a purely Japanese person who believed in the tradition and was highly patriotic. He even doesn't allow anything foreign in his bedroom. But now, ultimately, a foreigner was kept inside his bedroom. Okay, and first of all, Dr. Sadao thought that this man should be cleaned well. Otherwise, he couldn't check the man or give medical assistance. And when he checked his heartbeat, it seemed that the man was alive, and it was his fate to be in the hands of this Japanese doctor. And also, we see that he happened to have got tortured by the Japanese army too. Okay, and if he was not given an immediate operation, definitely this man will die. No? So Dr. Sadao decided that this man to be operated, and for that he wanted to clean this man, and Hana went to call Yumi to clean the man before operating upon. But we see that once the servants came to know about the presence of this man, they were fear-stricken, and because one of the servants, you know, they were highly superstitious and they thought that it would be not safe enough because this gun, once the gun wounded this man and next he got a wound on his body with the spikes of the rocks in the sea. And definitely if Dr. Sadao, who is going to treat this person, this gun and this rock will take revenge upon Dr. Sadao. This was the belief of one of the servants in the house. Anyhow, Hana tried to console the servants by telling that their intention is to give medical assistance and after that they will hand it over him as a prisoner of war. But once Yumi came inside the house to see or to clean the man, she understood that he was an American, and immediately she reacted like, I am not ready. But she didn't realize that after all this is a human being. Once Hana tried to threaten Yumi by telling that it's the order of the mistress, then also here Yumi was not convinced. She was not ready. She says that I will never wash an American and this is not my duty to. And she left the room. Now it's Hana's turn to help the man. Hana herself cleaned the man. You see that once Sadao entered the room, she was just standing near this man and she was unable to wash the next part of the man or the other side of the man as he was lying there. She helped Sadao in operating the man, and also we see that this Hana helped Sadao by taking the towel as well as by taking some rough mats to put on the floor to avoid the blood stain. But once she came with all these things, the blood was already soaked the room. But we see that Hana carefully tried to tackle with the situation, and Dr. Sadao was giving less importance to Hana's concern about Yumi's refusal of washing this man. And also we see that Sadao was giving full attention to the man as he was about to operate. And on his medical treatment, we see that Sadao was asking the help of Hana for what? To give anesthetic. Once she rejected, telling that she doesn't know, but still then she tried to help Dr. Sadao. Once she happened to be in this room smelling of the medicine and of the blood, she felt like choking. And also she wanted to vomit. She ran outside, but this time Dr. Sadao was in trouble as he cannot help his wife. But immediately right after vomiting, she came back to help Dr. Sadao in operating the American. Okay. Then we see that as this Hana was standing beside the man, as obeying to the instruction given by Dr. Sadao in helping the operation, she felt so sympathetic looking at the face of the man as he got tortured by the Japanese army. Okay, and she recollects the story that she heard about General Takima, who was cruel to his wife, and also many other things related to the Japanese army. And now she, looking at this man, she wished that never ever this man could have been tortured. Okay, and on the very same situation, we see that Dr. Sadao was fully concentrating upon the man, thinking nothing else. Okay, and finally he could felt the bullet near to the kidney of the man, and immediately he concentrated much upon that, and he thought of taking the bullet from the body. In between, he remembers his professor of anatomy at America, because if a surgeon ignored the knowledge of part of a body, it was the first mistake that he committed. So he was giving full attention. Okay. Finally, the man was saved from his operation, or saved from death. Finally, the bullet is taken out and the young man was shaved. And we see that at first the pulse went shivered once or twice, but better it improved and it grew stronger when he gave a medicine. And we see that the young man was consciousness and he started uttering some words in between, but still then Hana just consoles the man. Okay. After the operation, we see that Hana went daily to give the food, and Dr. Sadao also checked the man regularly. Okay. And what happens here is, one day we see that Hana was standing there with great trouble because the servants started complaining. They were not ready to accept the fact that the American was taken and granted a room in their house, Dr. Sadao's house. They can't even digest the idea given by Dr. Sadao and Hana regarding keeping the white man in their house. Okay, and they were never even ready to agree with whatever said by Dr. Sadao and Hana. Okay, and here we see that these servants, on the 7th day after the arrival of this white man in their house, there happened two important things. All the servants in their house left their home because they didn't want to stay there. And we see that the gardener and the cook, who was just working for years, was appointed by the father of Dr. Sadao. Okay, so they find it very hard to leave the place, and Yumi was also very much worried to leave the house. And the second thing that happened in the 7th day of the man's arrival is, here we see that Hana just sees a messenger who is coming to their house after the departure of the servants. She immediately thought that the servants could have complained about the man's presence in their house. She was panicked enough. She thought that Dr. Sadao was will be definitely taken as for standing against the country's order, or will be arrested. Okay, but when the messenger came, he said that the old general was in pain and he immediately needed the presence of Dr. Sadao. She was relaxed. Okay, and at the message given by the police officer, Sadao reached the palace and he looked after the general. Okay, general was in pain and he was given the medical attention, and in between Dr. Sadao thought of informing about the American's presence in his house. Okay, and he got assurance from the general that he will be taking much interest in killing this white man, or taking away this white man from Sadao's house by sending his assassins. Okay, and Dr. Sadao thought of hiding this particular plan from Hana because Hana will be afraid of assassins. Okay, and here we see that once he came from the palace, he was just visiting the white man because his great intention was to open one of the partition of his door towards the garden, because already the general has intimated that he will send private assassins to kill the man. Okay, so he very secretly opened the partition of the white man's room, the door towards the garden. Okay, and that night we see that Dr. Sadao was sleeping, He was not getting a good sleep. He was restless because every now and then he was just imagining and thinking like the assassin's arrival and killing of the white man. But what happened the next morning when he went first into the room? The man was comfortably there. Okay, then he thought that maybe the second night, who will come? The assassins will come. The second night also, nothing happened. Second morning, we see that he was safe enough. Similarly, third night, he thought that this will be the night the assassins will come and kill the person. But the third morning also we see that the white man was in full strength. The name of the white man was Storm, he said to Hana. Okay. But we see that when he was standing on his feet, he was shaved and he was looking happy. And he was in great joy telling Dr. Sadao that I am well. At this thing, we see that this Dr. Sadao took one great decision. Okay. And this Dr. Sadao made a plan to save this man from assassins or private assassins. We see that he decided to keep a bot in his shore and help this person save his life from this place. Okay. And he kept some food, water, clothing, everything inside the boat and told this Storm to sail to the nearby island, which was very near to the coast, and wait for a fishing boat. And he also gave assurance that no one will identify his presence there because that part is a lonely place. And this Storm agreed, and he was asking whether you are trying to help me once again. But we see that Dr. Sadao says that it's not for helping that man, it's for saving their own life from danger. Okay. Anyhow, as per the instruction given by Dr. Sadao, Tom obeyed and he was ready to leave that particular night. Okay. And as usual, we see that Dr. Sadao went to the guest room to have a check on him, and we see that his heartbeat, wound, everything was checked, and Tom was highly excited because he is going to get saved from this Japanese land once more by Dr. Sadao. And he thanked Dr. Sadao for saving his life, but he rejected, okay, as he wanted to get rid of from this man from their house to save his wife and his children for not being getting arrested. Okay. Then as per the instruction, Dr. Sadao gave him a torchlight and he was instructed to move to the particular island which was very near to the sea. Okay. Then he also gave a torchlight telling that if you are staying there for more than one day, if you are running out of your food, you can flashlight twice during the horizon. Okay. And if you are still staying there and if you have enough food, you can just give one flashlight. Okay. And the man agreed, and in the evening and when the dusk time, we see that Dr. Sadao gave him the traditional dress of Japanese, and a black cloth was tied around his head in order to hide the grey hair. Then he was just standing there. This man slowly moved forward by giving a hand to Dr. Sadao. Okay. And after 3 flashlights, Dr. Sadao closed his door. We see that Tom, the American, just moved towards the island. And that night, Dr. Sadao slept comfortably. The next morning, we see that Dr. Sadao went to the general and he informed the general that the man has escaped. Okay. And Dr. Sadao, when he said to the general, we see that the general just listens to all these things, and he was very happy that the servants are back to their work, and Yumi also just looking after the children. And when after a week, we see that again Dr. Sadao discussed this topic with the general, and the general was worried, and he says that actually I was worrying only about my health, and I didn't just thought about the presence of the white man in your house. Really, I forgot to send the assassins. Anyhow, Dr. Sadao is safe now, and he said that he will support him as a person who is so loyal to his country. Dr. Sadao agrees with the general, supporting him as a person who is so loyal to his country. And also, we see that the general promised him an award for his sincerity. Okay. Then, as after the next day, we see that Dr. Sadao was standing in front of his veranda to see whether he can see to flashlight at the time when the sun is about to set, the time of the horizon. But we see that that's when Sadao was standing on the veranda looking towards the island. He could not find any torchlight, and he was pretty sure that the man might have got a Korean fishing boat and he must have gone safely to his homeland. Okay, as he was standing there, he immediately rewind the faces that he had seen in America, all the white faces that he come across in his life. Okay, he thought about his professors in America. He thought about the house owner where he stayed. He thought about the professor and his wife where he met Hana. And finally, he remembered the face of the white man who landed up in front of the house. And he was just thinking, why is it so that I didn't dare to kill the man? Because he was my country's enemy. Here, throughout this lesson, we see that Dr. Sadao, even though he is a Japanese doctor, as a Japanese person, he was giving priority to humanism rather than patriotism. Patriotism is needed in life, but still then, more than all, we all are human beings. There is no bar in being different nationalism or different country. We all are basically human beings with same emotions and intuitions in life, and he might have given priority to humanism rather than patriotism because he learned to save life, not to take life. This is the story of The Enemy, written by Paulus Beck. Okay, thank you all. Have a great day.